We aren't afraid of taking risks or doing what no one else is doing. We are a group of great people doing great things. Since 1988, we have been pioneering a new way in HVAC solutions, and we want to share our stories with you. This is a deeper look inside AAON.
Well, welcome back to part 2 of the NAIC. First time that we have to do this, guys. You guys are so good. We just had to do a second part. For our audience, we have Dan Rhoades.
Yep.
He is our Research and Development Lab Manager. And then we have Kasey Worthington. Nobody knows what you do.
Well, I'm here right now, so
yeah,
that's
there you go. He does podcast. Yeah. And then, like always, my partner in crime, Winnie. Winnie, do you want to say hola or hi?
Hi.
Okay, so let's get back to the NAIC. I want to get started with, what are you guys working on currently? You don't have to say name or anything.
Department of Energy is challenging the industry to come up with some very high performance and really push the envelope as far as heat pumps that are able to, operate in cold climate environments. So we've got a unit with a couple special extra items that are all prototype, and we're really trying to push the envelope on. I call it heat pump limbo. It's how low can you go, right?
Yeah.
You just keep driving it down and trying to maintain that efficiency.
I love that you say a couple of special items.
Yeah. How low can we go?
How low, indeed. I put it up on the board, and so that's my jam. But we've got a couple of the others. Everybody always loves a destructive test. The acid spray.
Ooh, that sounds
destroying coils and different things, and paint samples, and then a lot of it's just different things, new refrigerant coming out, making sure we're maintaining all of our safeties and providing a quality product.
Nice. So you talk about the distraction test, so I really want to know some of the most exciting tests that you guys have done.
I'm always a giant fan of the Hurricane 2x4 launcher that was.
I heard about that.
We don't get to use it as often as I'd like. Turns out you design a foam panel that holds up to a 2x4 that generally doesn't change that much once you get that design in there. But
I don't know if we have some footage, but if so, we're playing it right now.
We're gonna need to get some footage.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Here we go.
That's always been one of my favorite, and then obviously anything that's a new technology that we're seeing. It's the first time. I like the troubleshooting aspect of it because I don't necessarily know how it's going to work and what problem it's going to present. So it's always kind of a new challenge to see.
I love breaking parts. So you guys know, and I'm good at it.
I love breaking things.
So I used to work in the controls department. I used to manage the sales marketing department there in Kansas City, and part of my team's job was to test the controllers. So before I took over as the manager, we would tell them, could you test this controller? And I completely changed that to could you break this controller?
Oh, yeah.
We're not there to test what it's supposed to do. We're there to break it and what happens when you don't utilize it correctly or so on.
For sure. I know, when I interviewed here, I was talking to Kasey, and he was telling me all about the...
You hire him?
More or less,
It's your
yes.
fault.
Yeah. He helped, sway this. It was pretty much a lock already.
Okay,
So,
okay,
they knew. It was one of the
When you're
Norm's
that good.
chosen few from Montana. So
Nice.
it is pretty much. But, the thing that always stuck with me is we're trying to design race cars in the lab and squeeze every bit of performance. And now I like to say, well, we're also trying to crash that race car as soon as we're done. And so, to your point with the controls testing, you get that in there, and we will put them in the environmental room and let them hang out, not running overnight for, at negative 10 degrees or negative 20 degrees, and let all the refrigerant migrate to the outside coil, make it the worst possible condition to try to start up the equipment. And how do we make sure that it will reliably start up? And, like I said, break that equipment if we can. And how do we use the chambers to push the compressors outside of their operating envelopes where it would be dangerous, and then allow the controls to recover and bring it back into operating, and so we don't cause any damage. But it is funner when it does break. And it's always better to break it in the lab, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
You talk about controls. We have sensors that go into the controls, right? And one of the things we did was test that we're basically life cycle testing the pressure sensors, the pressure transducers. And of course, the way you do that, right, is you apply pressure and then take pressure away. And we did this thousands and thousands and thousands of times. So we built a contraption that would do that with, a cyclic controller. But at first, when we built it, every time it discharged the pressure, it sounded like a gun going off. So that went on for about a day of a gun going off about every 30 seconds, of it charging and discharging. So we had to build our own silencer for the contraption. So yeah.
You bring a really good point there. Like, we had to build something. So it's the NAIC is not just these chambers that were built back in the day. It's you are getting creative all the time.
Oh, absolutely. And then it's, sort of continuous improvement. So, a lot of these chambers were designed, spec'd, and built, and then Kasey set it up in such a way that we're able to do the HMI, or the human machine interface, in-house and make modifications. So, compared to what we've had in the past, if it's easier for a technician or an engineer to see something, we make that change. I've got a team, the lab operations team, who are able to program and adjust these things.
In part one of this episode about the NAIC, you talked about the mock room that one of our customers. So yeah, you're constantly just recreating and
absolutely.
Doing
So, as far as the continuous improvement, we're able to modify and change. One of the reasons, or one of the ways that Kasey set up the lab in the first place was we did the HMI, or human machine interface, for these chambers in-house, and the lab operations team out in the lab, they do the programming, they make the change. So if there's quality of life adjustments that we can make for the technicians operating it, we do that. And so they're able to see more information, because the more they're able to, or the more they're able to see, the better they're able to operate, the more testing we get, the better quality testing that we get. We've rebuilt large portions of these chambers just to add, the serviceability that we're used to with our equipment just wasn't quite there with these. So we changed it and tweaked it. And these are fully custom pieces of equipment. I mean, Kasey worked in design, and he was able to get exactly what he wanted, but it's a custom piece of equipment. So there's going to be modifications that need to be made over time, and it's been a continuous process of improving, and what we've started with versus what we have today is it's grown, and we're getting better every year.
Do you want to share one of your favorites test?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite tests, it just has to be, right? We talk about the sound chamber, and all the time we spent designing it, and the specification was that we would never put larger than a 65-foot unit in that chamber. And we spent years with that specification, and we about get the sound chamber up and running. Things are still kind of shaky because we're getting it going, and the first unit that went in that room was 77 foot long.
How do you go about that? What do you do?
Well, so that was what made the project so interesting. A couple of things. One is it was a new unique application for that product. It was actually where we were putting VAV boxes actually internal to the equipment.
Okay.
So that was kind of what integrating with the customer and providing a custom solution into one of our products, which was really cool. But that's what drove the leak to that unit. Luckily, the chamber is physically 90 foot long, but to get good sound measurements, 65 was kind of the design. So, shoving it in there, we had to make some subtractions and modifications on the fly, but we did it, and it worked out great.
Tell us a little bit. I heard this story a million times, but I don't remember exactly. The sound chamber was built before anything else for a reason. I don't know.
Yeah, so the sound chamber itself actually sets it on its own foundation. One reason for that is we don't want any vibration that's going on in the building to get inside the room, and that would transfer in. And that can be at foundation level as well. So it's completely isolated. The other is just the sheer size of it. It does kind of drive the height of the building. So actually what ended up happening is the concrete room was built, really looked like it was being built in an open field with nothing, and then the building actually was erected around it, over the top of it.
I know when I would see it out there, I was like, well, that's the lab, and just seeing the sound chambers, that's not actually that big. I thought it was going to be a little big.
I remember the same thing.
Then I realized
that's impressive.
it was
just
a small
one
piece,
chamber.
just one chamber, and there was a whole lot more lab going in.
Yeah.
How regulated is this industry of labs? Are there award certificate? What do you have to go to be able to operate?
So we've definitely jumped through certain hoops. We make sure we are in compliance with the different test standards. But as far as do these tests qualify? What are other people do when they're going to rate our equipment, third party? We're adhering to those standards. But as far as certifications directly, we've got the AMCA 210, which is the certification for the testing of air fan performance.
Okay.
AMCA 300, which is the sound testing of that. And then more recently is ISO 17025, which it allows us to be a satellite lab of ETL. And ETL, or Intertek, is one of the companies that does this third-party testing, separate from the industry, and are able to provide an unbiased, okay, you've got this piece of equipment, it does what you say it does, it follows and meets the safety requirements. We have to go through a very specific set of hoops and calibration restrictions that are required so that we can move product to market a lot faster by adhering to this and creating different standard operating procedures and test plans that we submit to them for approval. Instead of having a member of Intertek come down and physically witness this, we adhere to those policies, and then we're able to supply that data that we've recorded here. And it allows us to move quite a bit faster. It's all about the agility, right? Yeah. And so that's one of the items that we've really pushed for with our certification group. And Clint Reese has taken over that. He's another test engineer who started in the lab and has been able to do really good.
Nice.
So have others been able to come into the lab and test their own things?
We have. We've got McElroy, one of our board of directors, Trip McElroy. He's got some equipment.
Local company here, headquartered in Tulsa.
Exactly. They have paid to bring in their equipment that are pipeline fusion welders that go to Alaska or Saudi Arabia. And so they go into the environmental room, and we'll take it up to 130, and they'll let it run and make sure their hydraulic lines don't have any issues, and then we'll run it down, as low as we can get, -5, and make sure the same thing happens. And then there's been third-party chillers and different things like that, and people that make equipment or sometimes our rep firms, they may bring another piece of equipment so they can get that compare and contrast between AAON and a competitor.
Fascinating. Nice. These certificates that you received, is there do you have to renew them every year? Is there follow up to it?
Yes, definitely with 17025, there is basically an auditing process that makes sure that we stay in compliance, all right? We can't just get there and then stop. We have to basically self-audit and then bring a member of them of Intertek to audit our process, make sure that we're maintaining calibration records, we're maintaining our SOPs or standard operating procedures for this test, as well as the training that we do for the different technicians, what we require. I've got a technical knowledge evaluation test that I was using to administer to technicians to get a baseline of their ability level, and we've incorporated that into the 17025 certification. They need to have passed this technical knowledge evaluation, and I have certain technicians that are basically certified to perform those tests, and other ones that are not, and it's based on an ability level. And I'm certifying the testers to be certified testing or some ability of that.
So I always want to bring it back to the product. So the certification for the NAIC is one side of the story. How about certifications or awards or AHRI, for example, certified for our products? How does the NAIC get involved in that part?
Yeah, so it's actually a twofold, right? Having those certifications not only gives us confidence internally, that we're testing something, getting accurate data, and we can hold that data so we can keep developing. It also gives confidence to our customers, right? So having the certifications, we can then go with our certifications to AHRI, and really the goal is to provide a certification that our customer values and allows them to compare apples to apples. If you think about it, we've always been a premium product and a high performing product, and obviously we publish that. What we want our customers to be able to say is, well, here's an AAON product and here's a competitor product, and that even though this one says it's better, they have confidence it really is. It's not that we're just writing it out on a website. There's actually a third-party organization, industry organization, that's kind of saying, okay, this has been tested under the right criteria, the right certifications, that is an exact comparison to your competitor.
So we're not only saying we are the best, we can actually prove we're the best.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Nice.
Yeah. With AHRI certifications, when you have an AHRI certified product, is every product in the industry, every competitor has to go through that?
If you want to be AHRI certified, but there are definitely products out there that are not AHRI certified, and that's one of the things of being part of AHRI. Allows you to claim that you're telling the truth. If you're not, I guess we'll let the customer decide if they want to take that risk.
Okay. So the AHRI certification is proving or a third-party test that you are actually doing what you're saying you're doing.
Yeah, it's a third-party program that allows us to certify our product, and many of our competitors do have that. And you can compare, in my opinion, if you have an AHRI certification and a competitor does, it's an apples-to-apples comparison. But definitely people in the market are selling equipment that are not. And not that you can't do that, but I think it brings value to the product whenever you can actually say, this is what it is. I'm proving what I'm saying, right? So,
how does it work? Because you get a new product certified through AHRI. The year after, you may be building the product differently. How do they keep you accountable throughout the years?
Yeah, so AHRI, it's on an audit system. So every year there are samples of our product pulled that we actually build for AHRI. We ship to their third-party facilities, and they actually test them and compare them to what we're saying. If there's a discrepancy, then there's a kind of a process that we have to go through to correct that. And obviously, if they match up, then they kind of give you the thumbs up and keep going. So that's the hope.
Thank you for that. To explain, I understood how our products are AHRI certified. I just didn't know how we maintain accountability throughout the years. So makes sense.
So we are on part 2 of this podcast, and I don't think we've mentioned yet, what does the NAIC stand for?
Yes.
So it's named after our founder, Norm Asbjornson, and it's actually the Norm Asbjornson Innovation Center. It was Norm's vision for a very long time to have something like this. Very proud to be able to make that happen. Also, the key to it is it's following that vision of being an innovation center and trying to make sure that we're constantly engaging with our customers, with our reps, with the warranty service, everyone in the field, so that we can provide a innovative solution to the market. We're not just an R&D lab. We're a destination, we're a collaboration, we're relationships.
Well, timing-wise was perfect. Sorry. Timing-wise was perfect with Norm retiring from the CEO position around that time, and the NAIC being his legacy that he left for AAON.
Yeah, and Norm, even after he kind of started stepping away, was very involved for a very long time afterwards. So, I mean, it's been great that we were able to leave that for him. And, in his words, he wanted to do something that no one else could do. And I think that was kind of what he was planning to do anyhow. So,
So what does the future look like for the NIC? Like, where are you guys going?
Definitely growing and expanding our capabilities and capacities is one item. I'm trying to look ahead at how we can test and get additional equipment for testing some of our large product, as we're continuing to grow the range that the Alpha class is offered. The size of those units may require larger chambers. We're also trying to get the ability to drill down into component testing. So one of the things that we're looking to do is add to our ability to not only test the unit as a whole, but look at just, say, the heat exchanger coil by itself and really extract that from the overall product. The other is to look at different methods of evaluating, not just our product, but product, components we're purchasing. So I want to be able to buy a set of motors and stress test them so I can see how component A versus brand X looks, and how do we push the envelope to once again provide that quality to our customer. I want to maintain reliability of the testing, because the rest of the company, they make units, right? That's how AAON makes money. The NAIC produces data. That's the product we provide to AAON. So maintaining that accuracy and reliability is key. So improving our ability to calibrate these test chambers. How can I automate that process, take out any human factors that may cause issues, as well as speed up that process? Because the more time I can spend testing and less time I spend calibrating, the better we're going to be, and the less I get in trouble for not getting anything done.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. Awesome. Thank you for that vision there. So we are wrapping up. We're going to have a part 3. No, don't worry. We could just talk all day about the NAIC. It's fascinating. But to wrap up, I want to ask a question that we traditionally ask here inside AAON. So if you guys have watched, you shouldn't be surprised. Start with you, Kasey. What is AAON to you?
AAON's family, definitely. It's been great working here. I always use the analogy that, every day I come to work excited. Because we're agile and nimble and all the above, and I go home every day frustrated. But what's awesome,
That's the family part.
That's the family part, exactly. But you're in the right spot with the right people whenever you wake up the next day saying, "Hey, I'm ready to go do this again." So I'd say it's family.
Nice.
AAON for me, it's definitely a place where I get to break stuff and have fun, but it's also been a place where if I wanted to do something, I wanted to be a part of R&D, I wanted to be a part of the lab, I wanted to be a supervisor and a leader. It's something where I was able to, okay, I want this, I'm going to take it and be an active, have kind of control over my destiny within the company. And it's also been a place where I could go anywhere. You can go to the director of engineering and ask a question about how this works, and he'll take the time to explain it to you. And so you can get the information you want. It is people genuinely trying their best to provide and do right by our customers, and it's a place that you can be proud to work at and say, hey, I work here. And even as we've grown and add more facilities and locations in the company, it still maintains that atmosphere, which I really like.
Yeah, it makes me think a little bit of one of the things that I like too is, being an engineering company, it's really easy to only find value on an engineer. And at AAON, it's not like that. We find value in everyone. Everybody has something to bring to the table, and we celebrate that. So it's really good. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate you having us, bearing with me.
Our two latest victim of the...
They're called guests.
They're called guests.
There you go.
Same thing, right? No, thank you so much for being here. To our guests, thank you for watching. Keep on learning. Keep following us. Subscribe.
Like and subscribe below.
Yes. But most importantly, if you want to take a look at the NAIC live, call your local AAON rep and come visit us.
Absolutely. Casey still gives a great tour of the lab.
There you go.
Ask for him by name. It's
Exactly.
Kasey
Worthington.
I do take tips, by the way.
Thank you so much. Whitney, say ciao.
Bye.
Bye.